Really easy apple stuffing in a loaf pan, GZ.
This is
You've got the walnuts, just you can either chop them with a knife or crunch them up with those strong hands of yours. We see you working out. And then the apples, you can just do like a medium dice, skin on, skin off, doesn't matter, okay? I know Katie wants the skin on for health reasons, right? But it's the holidays, so do whatever you want. No, take the skin off.
Sure.
One apple skin on, one apple skin off. You can handle it, Iron Chef. And I'm just chopping up some scallions here, white and green parts, that are gonna go into the stuffing. In my pan here on low now, I'm just gonna drop some butter in. There we go. Okay, so some butter goes in first, and then to that, I'm gonna add in, turn that up, some onion and some celery, just all at the same time. A nice pinch of salt, okay, or two. Some black pepper, fresh thyme. And then is it the holidays without sage?
100%. You gotta have sage.
Put a little sage in there. All right, so this is just gonna move around and everything's gonna get nice and tender, translucent. Gonna put the scallions in here as well. A little bit of an oniony bite times 2. You get the white onion. You can also use a sweet onion if you have that in your cool, dark place with your potatoes. And then the scallions on top. So you're just gonna let this sizzle. Now, as this cooks down, it's gonna end up looking like this. That's when you wanna add in the garlic. All right, so to that, I'm gonna add in some parsley. And then I like to use dried cranberries, holidays again, right? But I always have dried cranberries or cherries, interchangeable kind of, and then just mix that around. Okay, so this is just, you know, you get it in the bag, you can get the stuffing bread, and then there go the apples that GZ hooked us up with, and then some walnuts for a little bit of crunch. Gonna get in everything from our pan here. Remember, it's the celery, it's the onions, scallions, garlic, that butter, parsley,
It's amazing
thyme, sage.
Butter and sage smell like Thanksgiving.
I mean,
I'm
seriously, right? And then give it a nice little toss.
You put egg in there?
No egg. It's actually gonna hold together, you know. I find that, you know, the day of it's a scoop, and then the day after it's a good slice. You gotta let it cool down in order to slice it properly.
So what do you look for, seriously? Like wet sand?
Well, you know, when you're making stuffing, to me, it's kind of like when you're reducing something, right? If it goes too far, like say grits, just add some more liquid and it'll be the right texture that you want. The same with stuffing. You can add a lot of moisture to it. You can just cook it out because we're gonna put this in the oven at 350 degrees. So this is about 2 and some change of stock. Obviously, turkey, if you can find it around the holidays.
You're eyeballing that, like you said. Like if you feel it needs more, you add more. It's not like...
It's an eyeball thing. You know, I always say if you add too much moisture, you're just gonna just cook it longer and the moisture will evaporate out of it. I've got a loaf pan here that's been completely bottom and side sprayed with some cooking spray. And then just right in there. Now, this isn't a light thing. This is a packet-like brown sugar moment. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna get it in there and press it down.
You know, if leftover, you fry it, put an egg on it.
Eggs Benedict the next day. I do it all the time. It's my favorite.
This is a great idea.
Yeah.
Okay, leave that there on the pan for a nice crunchy moment. Okay, 350 degrees for about an hour, okay? And then after that hour is up, you're gonna take it off the aluminum foil off of the lid, let it get a little crunchy, let it cool down, and then you've got a beautiful moment like this.
Look at it, crust.
It's completely cooled.
Wow.
Bring it out.
It looks like a fruitcake.
It really does. It was. I take this over.
Serrate. Need a serrate.
Yeah, get yourself a nice serrated knife.
This is so organized. Stuffing is usually so messy.
It is. It's a chaotic thing.
I'm gonna do a transfer.
Wow. Oh my goodness.
Wow, it takes hello.
Y'all, I sat in the right seat.
You sure did.
All right, let's get in here.
Slide it on down.
That tastes like the Thanksgiving meal all in one.
Yeah?
I love all the sage. To me, that's the key to really good stuffing / dressing, to have sage. And then the sweetness of the cranberry and apple, it really, what makes it is having the garlic in there as well. This is so good. I could eat the entire loaf.
It's called stuffing if you stuff it in the bird. It's called dressing if you put it in a pan and bake it. So I'm gonna make dressing, basically. So I started by cooking some sausage in the skillet. I took it out and put it in a bowl. And so the flavor of the sausage is still in there. So I'm gonna add some mirepoix, which is nothing more than, sorry, what happened here? Nothing more than onions, carrots, and celery. Then I have some chopped fresh thyme, and I'll add it to the veggies, and then a little bit of salt. I'm gonna crank up the heat, and I'm gonna cook these veggies until they start to sweat. And by that time, I'll probably be sweating too. Don't go away. So the stuffing needs liquid, so I'm gonna add an entire carton of low sodium chicken broth. You can use veggie broth or turkey broth, any kind of broth. And I'm gonna add some ground sage, which is a very quintessential Thanksgiving herb. And then thyme, more thyme. There's fresh thyme in here, and this is dried thyme. And then I like to add a tiny pinch of turmeric. If you add too much, it will turn whatever you're cooking like bright orange yellow. So I just add, seriously, a pinch, and it adds just a tiny bit of like golden, beautiful color without turning your stuffing fluorescent orange. Okay, so that is looking great. Look at this, Alex. Basically, it looks like soup at this stage. I've got two kinds of bread. And girls and boys, if you're making Thanksgiving dinner and you've got to make the stuffing, you have to plan ahead of time. I actually cut up this bread 2 days ago and put them on sheet pans so they could totally dry out. Uh-oh.
Run away.
You want the bread to be completely dry. And listen, that's how dry that bread is. Now, I am a big believer in cornbread stuffing, and so I also made cornbread like 2.4 days ago, and I cut it into cubes, and it has been drying out too. So we've got a mix of French bread and cornbread. So look at this, Alex. Down in the bottom is the sausage, okay? I love sausage in stuffing / dressing. Okay, so the liquid is now liquidy and hot. So basically what you want to do is grab a couple of ladles at a time and get the veggies and the liquid, spoon it over, do a little tossing. You don't want to pour it in all at once. Oh, it smells so good. Couple more ladles and toss. So I'm going to do the same thing until I've used up all the liquid. Fresh parsley. All right, should we put this in the oven?
Oh yeah.
So I'm gonna bake the stuffing at 350 degrees until the top gets nice and crisp and it's all heated through. Oh, it smells so good in this kitchen, I'm telling you. Here is the dressing / stuffing / dressing. Look, is that beautiful or what? And you can't tell this, but the surface of the bread is just as crisp as can be and then so soft underneath.
So today I'm making my pretzel stuffing with mustard and beer. It's gonna be sweet and tangy and soft and salty. I am obsessed with this stuffing. To start, I'm gonna chop up an onion and 4 stalks of celery, and I'm gonna finely chop this so it mixes in nicely with my stuffing. And same for my celery, I'm gonna use 4 stalks. And I don't mind using the leaves. I know a lot of people get rid of them, but they have more flavor there. Okie doke. My vegetables are chopped. I'm gonna get some butter heating into a pan so that I can cook my vegetables and reserve the rest to pour over the stuffing before it goes into the oven. I have my pan at a medium high, and now I'm gonna add my vegetables. I'll season these with a good pinch of salt to bring out those flavors and also to help them soften. I'll stir them around, and I'm just gonna cook these about 7 to 10 minutes until they're soft and translucent, and in the meantime, I'll mix together my wet ingredients. I'll crack in 2 eggs, and these will help bind my mixture together. 1.5 cups of chicken stock, which will add loads of flavor. And for a vegetarian stuffing, vegetable stock will absolutely work. And now the fun part, I'm gonna add 1/4 cup of mustard because you really cannot have pretzels without mustard. And now I'm gonna add a little bit of beer here. This is a German lager, and this is gonna add acidity, it's gonna add tanginess, and any alcohol in here will cook right out. And next I'll grab some honey. A couple tablespoons is perfect. I'll whisk it all together. The last thing I'm gonna do is chop up some parsley before I combine everything. Okay, then now it's time to combine everything. So, I have a bowl of torn pretzel bread here that has been dried out in an oven at 200 degrees for an hour. And that helps maintain the structure of the bread when it gets combined with the liquid. This is a great way to use stale bread too, and you don't have to use pretzel bread. I'm gonna get my vegetables. I'm gonna pour these directly into the bowl with the bread. So the liquid really softens this bread a lot, and it's important that the bread doesn't get mushy and too soft, so that's why it's good to toast the bread before mixing it with this liquid. The mixture is gonna still look a little bit liquidy when you pour it into the pan, but the bread is gonna continue to absorb that liquid in the oven, so that's what you want. The best part, I'm gonna pour more butter over it. This will bake at 375 for about 45 minutes until it's set and golden brown and a little crispy on top.
So what we're gonna do now is kind of put together the base for two things. We're gonna make a sage butter that's gonna go underneath the skin of the turkey, and we're also gonna caramelize some onions and some sage to make a really good stuffing. It's gonna be really nice. We're gonna add some extra virgin olive oil and just let it warm up. Now we're gonna take a big yellow Spanish onion, and we're just gonna chop it up in fine little pieces. All right, cool. All right, so we get the whole thing chopped up, and then we're gonna take our onions, we're gonna throw them into our saute pan. All right, and we're gonna let these really kind of caramelize and get nice and sweet. So that's gonna be the base for the stuffing. Now the next thing we're gonna make is actually an herb butter, a compound butter. I've got a bowl here, and we got 2 sticks of soft butter that we left on the counter. We'll throw these guys in, just like that. They're nice and soft. And now to this, we're gonna add a bunch of sage. And we're just gonna separate the leaves from the stems, like that. Then we're just gonna chop everything up. So we're gonna make a stuffing that's gonna get cooked with the turkey, and then we're gonna take half of it, and we're gonna cook it with the caramelized onions. All right, just like that. So half in the onions, half in the butter. All right, we're gonna add some salt to our butter as well. All right, a little bit of fresh cracked pepper. And this is a compound butter, which is basically a butter with a few components in it. All right, so we're gonna smash all this stuff up. I wanna make sure it's nice and smooth because the turkey's kind of cold, right? And if it's really, really kind of worked out, almost aerated a little bit, it's a lot easier to kind of spread underneath the skin. Perfect, we got that out of the way? All right, now we're gonna make the base for our stuffing. We're just gonna take 1 egg, and the egg is really gonna hold the whole thing together. Once it bakes, it's gonna be nice and delicious and firm, all right, without being too soupy. Then we're gonna add a little bit of heavy cream to this, and the cream is gonna make it nice and rich. And then we're gonna add a little bit of chicken stock. Now, I don't wanna add too much liquid at this point because you can always add more later. All right, but if it's too wet, you have to go back to the store to get some more cornbread muffins. Just gonna whisk it together. We're gonna take 6 cornbread muffins. They're nice and fresh, and we're gonna crumble them up. Then we're gonna add the caramelized onions and the sage to that. All right, that's it. So we got our sage butter knocked out, we've got our stuffing ready to go, and the only thing we need now is our star of the show, right? We got our Mr. Gobbler here. All right, we got a 12-pound turkey. And the first thing we're gonna do is actually take our sage butter, and we're gonna stuff it underneath the skin as far up inside the turkey as you possibly can. Then once you get it inside the skin, it's a little easier just to smooth out from the top. All right, we got a really good layer here. All right. Then we're gonna take some of our sage butter and we're gonna stick it inside the turkey. All right, now the next thing we're gonna do is actually put our delicious cornbread, sage, and caramelized onion stuffing right into the cavity. Oh, it's great flavor. Stuffing looks great. I love it. All right, quick little wash up. It's always really important when you're dealing with raw poultry, wash your hands as many times as you think you need to. All right. Then what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a string and we're gonna truss the whole bird. And when you truss it, you tie it, and it's all one shape, and it cooks really consistently all the way around. So we got a nice big piece of butcher's twine here, right? All right, we're gonna tell this turkey who's boss. So we're gonna go underneath the wings here. Then what we're gonna do is take the string and go around the legs, and kind of bring it up and cross it like that. I'm gonna tie it into like a little knot right on top, and tie the knot into a bow. All right, and that's it. We got trussed turkey. All right, then we're gonna season the outside of the bird with olive oil, salt, and pepper. All right, we're gonna put the olive oil on first to make sure that all the seasoning sticks to the outside of the bird. All right, we're gonna put a decent amount of salt and pepper on top of this guy. Again, we got a big piece of bird, and salty turkey skin to me is just absolutely delicious. And then a few cracks of freshly ground pepper. Now this is gonna go into the oven. We've got it preheated at 375 degrees, and we're gonna cook this for 3 hours. And it's gonna look really golden brown delicious. I promise you guys, it's the best turkey you've ever tasted.
Sticky rice stuffing. I'm starting with some sweet glutinous rice that I've soaked overnight. I've also rinsed it very well to get rid of the starches. And rather than boiling it in a pot of water, I'm gonna be steaming it in this steamer basket that's lined with some cheesecloth to catch the pieces of rice. That allows the rice to stay fluffy and not clump together. And cook the rice for 25 minutes until it's cooked through and still chewy. So while this goes, I'll make up my sauce. I'll start with 1/3 cup of Shaoxing cooking wine, which is caramelly and complex and dark. If you didn't have it, you could also use sherry cooking wine. And then I'll season with 2 tablespoons of soy sauce. I love how salty this rice is. Thanksgiving is not a holiday to worry about sodium. And 1 tablespoon of dark soy sauce, which is thicker and kind of syrupy and a little bit sweet. 1 tablespoon of toasted sesame oil, one of my favorite ingredients. I love those toasty flavors. And I'll whisk this together and set it aside. Okay, I've got my brazier here heating over medium-high heat. I'll drizzle in 2 tablespoons of neutral oil. I'll soften up 2 shallots that are finely chopped. Pinch of salt. So this is fully inspired by my Grandma Mary's recipe. This stuffing is truly unique. A lot of her recipes were the classic, add a little of this, add just the right amount of that. So I've been trying to translate them with exact amounts so that I can pass these recipes on to my kids and so on. They are just so delicious. I've got Chinese sausage, some chestnuts, and mushrooms, which I don't like. Sorry, mushroom lovers, I'm not one of you. But Grandma Mary said I needed to add them, so I'm adding them. I've got some shiitake mushrooms and cremini mushrooms, and they'll add that mushroomy earthiness. Even I will admit that mushrooms contribute an important flavor to this. I'll season with another couple of pinches of salt. I have 2 cloves of finely chopped garlic and grate in 1 tablespoon of ginger. Now this is really starting to smell good. I'll dump in my Chinese sausage, which I love so much. It's fatty and sweet and kind of snappy. And some cooked, peeled, and chopped chestnuts, which have a flavor similar to sweet potatoes, so they'll add some creamy bits scattered throughout. If all the sausage goes missing, you know where it went. Right to my belly. I'll check on my rice. It's looking done. The best way to tell is simply by tasting it. Oh, such a satisfying texture. That is cooked. I'll plop this in, and then a ladle full of water will help break this rice up so that it's not too clumpy. I'll incorporate it in with all of this good stuff. My dad and aunt are gonna be so excited to have this. I hope it stacks up to Grandma Mary's. This would be delicious as it is, but I'll boost up the flavor with the sauce that I made. To add even a little bit more textural excitement, I'll finish this off in the oven at 400 degrees for 10 minutes until it's crispy. I'm smelling that cooking wine. Oh, that's looking great. I'll finish with a pile of pretty freshness. I've got sliced scallions and cilantro. I like a lot of this on top. Oh, and I feel like my dad would be upset if I didn't taste it to make sure it was okay. Oh, I got chestnut in that bite, that creaminess. And the chewy rice is so satisfying.
My apple walnut stuffing.
Now, wait a second. Before we get started.
Okay.
Is it stuffing or dressing?
Oh, here we go.
Dressing.
She
I
went
mean,
there.
listen.
See it going into a casserole
Yeah.
dish. So it's gotta
I'm
be
gonna stuff
dressing
it
in my
into the
book.
casserole dish. I'm
please.
stuffing it into the casserole dish.
You can call it whatever you want.
Yeah.
I just want to eat it.
Exactly.
eat it, all
So,
of it.
Jeezy, if
Yes,
you don't
chef.
mind, hook me up with the apples. I'm using Granny Smith because I like the tart vibe that it comes and brings to our kind of
Okay.
heavy bread flavor. So just peel and give me some nice
Okay.
small dice
Done.
on that. I've already got my walnut toasted, and I just did not even a chop on the board, just kind of with your hand, break it apart and make nice bits. In my pan here, I've already melted some butter, sauteed down the onions, celery, thyme, sage, and garlic, and I've cooled it off just a bit so I can get into my bread here. Now, these are just breadcrumbs that you get in the bag that are seasoned. You can get the cubes, the actual cool little crumbs that I have here, and what have you. If you don't have or can't find, because I feel like, Thanksgiving, man, you get to the grocery
Yes.
store and it's bits and pieces. If you can't find pre-seasoned, just add in some Italian seasoning, add in some extra of the sage and the thyme if you like, and just punch it up a bit. All right, so I'm gonna add in some parsley. And then to that, my walnut. Do you guys do stuffing or dressing every year?
Oh,
It has to happen,
have it.
right?
Yeah. That's my favorite thing probably on the entire Thanksgiving buffet is the stuffing.
Same
It's the
here.
glue of the whole meal.
It really is. And the next
Yes.
morning, I love to make little balls of it and roll it through a little Feb station, flour, egg,
fry
and
it
breading,
up.
and fry it, and
yeah.
serve it with a little dollop of cranberry sauce. So,
Crispy bits.
I've just added in a couple of cups of chicken stock, and then Jeezy, you're gonna come through with these apple bits.
In?
Yeah, throw them in there.
Okay,
And
I love that.
It's
Love
so tart
Juicy.
and yummy. It adds the juiciness of it. I've got my 13 by 9 buttered and ready to go, sides and the bottom. You're just gonna get this in.
Who decided that 13 by 9 was the size?
It's something about the 13 by 9. It can feed 8 to like 20
I guess it's about
people.
oven size, the manufacturer. Okay, we're gonna take
True.
a gamble that feeds 10.
So I like to really kind of press it down and force those juices to redistribute amongst themselves. Don't give it space to kind of
No
puddle
egg.
up. No egg. Bread is gonna bind and hold together. Aluminum foil. Now, the oven, let's talk about it. It's set at 350 right now. This is gonna cook at 350 for about 45 minutes at 350. But then, when you're done with that, you're going to remove the aluminum foil because we like to get those crispy brown tops, right? Let me get this.
Now, would you throw gravy on top of that?
Heck yeah!
Are you nuts? Like in the oven or on
I
the
am
plate?
nuts.
Are you kidding me?
You've
What
seen me eat a pear before.
I know. It's
Yeah.
just you're unconventional. and I
Of course,
love
I
it.
would throw gravy on
Well,
this.
I don't know. I'm just saying, I want to make sure we cover all
look
bases.
at that caramelized.
I mean, my brown apple looks better. You know what I mean?
Can I ask a question? Can I add like pork breakfast sausage to this?
Yes,
I
ma'am.
love
Like
pork
if I
breakfast
wanna,
sausage
right?
and
Because to me that
some
sage,
stuffing.
if I'm gonna make it meaty, I don't think it needs it. But I'm saying,
Yeah.
let's say someone was like, hey,
Yeah.
I want meat this year.
Well, actually, this is a recipe that we have on foodnetwork.com/thekitchen. And I did it before, but I gave 3 or 4 different flavor profiles, and this is one of them. But I start with that chorizo, honey bunny. And if you're gonna do chorizo, you can add in kind of any other fruit you like. Dried apricot is great here. Stone fruit. Just think about the time of the season and what would make sense with whatever you're putting with
Thank
it.
you.
Yeah.
I love the Granny Smith. I think that
Yeah.
is the best apple for savory anything.
It is, and it
Yeah.
does. It speaks to me in the stuffing, because you do need that little respite from something sweet, a burst of sweetness with all
Yeah.
those savory flavor plus the herbaceousness, but the crust compared to the creamy interior is just everything I look for in a stuffing. I'm gonna make this stuffing this year.
So at this state, obviously, we're eating it right now, but better on the second day. You can let this cool off on the countertop, get it into the fridge whole like this, let it come to room temp again when you're about to serve it, and just get it into a warm oven until it comes to about 200 degrees internally. I also like to just kind of let this cool down and make individual serving size squares and then put that into a separate container. You can even kind of freeze it if you felt like it, but this is good a week before, but really a day before is best.
Aside from the turkey and the gravy, I think stuffing is probably my favorite Thanksgiving recipe of all time. And there are usually 2 ways I make it. Number 1, baking it in a big pan. Number 2, stuffing the turkey with it. Well, now I'm gonna make it a third way. I'm going to make stuffing muffins, or stuffin' muffins. That has a nice little ring to it. And I'm gonna make my regular stuffing recipe that I always make. So I started with the bread, and it's just regular French bread. I cut it into cubes and put it in a 350-degree oven just until it got nice and dry. You should be able to hear that bread, how dry and crisp it is. So the bread is all ready. So I'm gonna move over to the mixture of veggies and stock. So I have some butter that's been, well, it's been melting and now it's actually browning. So it's time to move forward. I'm gonna add mirepoix, which is carrots, celery, and onions. And I always dice them pretty fine whenever I make stuffing because there's always that relative that doesn't like big chunks of onions or vegetables. I'm making a mess, as I tend to do on Thanksgiving. Pretend you didn't see that. Okay, so on top of the onions, carrots, and celery, I've also got some chopped fresh sage and some chopped fresh rosemary. I'll sprinkle in some salt and some pepper. It's smelling like Thanksgiving in here. Oh, I love those smells. So I'm gonna add some chicken stock. You can use turkey stock, veggie stock, basically any kind of liquid will do. And then I just need to stir it. And those veggies were so, so hot. The liquid is pretty much there too. So now this is where the rubber meets the road with stuffing. By the way, do you call it stuffing or do you call it dressing? I go back and forth. There's no difference. You call it stuffing when you put it inside a bird, and you call it dressing generally when you bake it in a pan. But they're exactly the same thing in my book. Look at this. And then you just toss, and you keep tossing until you can't see any more liquid in the bottom of the bowl. Okay, so basically this is the stuffing mixture. So now I'm gonna get this into the muffin pan. Okay, time to put these in the oven. I'm gonna bake them at 350 degrees for about 15 to 17 minutes until those edges are golden and crisp. These are gonna be out of this world. Okay, the stuffing muffins are ready to come out of the pan. I let them sit for just a little bit so they would set and not completely fall apart. But look at these beauties. They are everything that's wonderful about stuffing, but in such cute little packages, and they're individual, which I love individual versions of anything. And then a little finishing of beautiful green parsley. I love these stuffing muffins. I think the whole family is gonna love them too. Gorgeous.
Pepperoni, mozzarella, dressing or stuffing. All right, I'm putting together my stuffing. Every Thanksgiving, my father makes pepperoni, mozzarella stuffing. Very sentimental, big family recipe. So I cook garlic and onions with a little fresh thyme, and I peel and dice pepperoni. It's important to take the casing off them, otherwise it ends up being chewy. I just saute those with some fresh sage. I cook a pound of breakfast sausage. That taste of sage and pork, that's what I want here. It tastes like Thanksgiving to me. And then I just saute diced celery. I cook everything separately so that it each gets its own seasoning. I toast some slices of white bread. It's gotta be a loaf of white bread, toasted on both sides, buttered, salted. That way when you cut it up, those croutons have as much flavor as all the other ingredients.
When does the mozzarella come together?
The mozzarella, the last minute. Mix everything together, add the cube mozzarella, and bake. I honestly will make it every year of my life, whether I ever want anything else, just because it honors my heritage and my dad. And that's important. I think Thanksgiving is a time when you celebrate your family. One way to do it when you're a chef is through food.
All right, Chef, where are we at?
Okay, well, you arrive at a good moment. This is all the stuffing.
This is the super stuffing your dad's. Now, was this your pop stuffing?
Yeah.
This is your dad's.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's why you're following it to a T.
from my pot.
I love this. Am I supposed to be packing it in like this?
It's absolutely, it's like you've done it before.
Well, I don't know. All I know is it looks fantastic. I want some.
Look at these biceps.
I've been working out.
He's got that Thanksgiving bicep going. All right,
That's it.
pop that in the oven.
All right,
And now,
in the oven?
This is the stuffing that I made. So this is pepperoni and mozzarella.
Alex is all about family. And her dad meant so much to her.
He served this every Thanksgiving, right?
Yeah.
That's so great.
I think the dish was phenomenal because I knew where it came from. I wasn't just eating the dish, I was eating part of her family story. That's what made it even better. And I think that that's what we need to share when we do Thanksgiving.
And the good news is I'm gonna make it in advance and I'm gonna cook it separately from the turkey. So I have some butter in the pan and I have lots of chunky, flavorful things in the stuffing. I've got 2 Granny Smith apples chopped up, 2 stalks of celery, and 2 onions. I'm just gonna saute them until they're really tender. I'll stir them around. In the past, when I used to make a whole turkey, I would put the stuffing inside, and I had to cook the turkey forever in order for the stuffing to cook. And so, of course, the turkey was dry. Not a good idea. So I found if I made the stuffing separately, I had really moist turkey and a big pan of stuffing that was moist and delicious and crispy and crusty on the outside. Now that's good stuffing. Okay, while that cooks, I'm going to put some fresh parsley in. So I don't know, about 2 tablespoons of fresh parsley. All chopped up. You can really use any kind of herbs. Okay, about 2 tablespoons. Right in with the apples and onions. Tablespoon of salt. Seems like a lot, but wait till you see it's a lot of stuffing. Teaspoon of pepper. Just toss it all together. I'm going to cook this for about 10 minutes until the apples are tender and delicious and the celery and the onions are cooked. And then I'm going to mix it with breadcrumbs. And I've got the breadcrumbs all toasting in the oven now. That smells good. You can certainly make bread stuffing with fresh bread. But I like to take a French boule, one of those round breads, cut it in big 1-inch cubes, and then toast it for about 7 minutes, 300 degrees. And what it does is it crisps it and it dries it out a little bit. And then it'll absorb all the gorgeous flavors of the apples and the onions. It can be very good bread stuffing. I can smell the apples and onions. They're perfectly cooked. Apples are really tender. Wonderful. I'm gonna put these into the breadcrumbs, and then I'm gonna cook the sausage. Delicious apple and sausage stuffing. So for the sausage, I've tried a few different things. I first started with chicken sausage and basil. Sounds good, right? So boring. It was just terrible. And then I started with spicy sausage, like Italian sausage. It was too spicy. So I finally figured out that combination of spicy and sweet Italian sausage was the perfect blend. So that's what I've got, 3/4 pound combined. It's really up to you whether you want more spicy or more sweet. But it's really good, the sausage and the breadcrumbs and the apples and onions. It's just a great combination. Just mash it in the pan so the sausage is really cooked and it's broken up. So this is going to cook for about 10 minutes, and then it all goes together with the breadcrumb stuffing. Okay, while that cooks, a few more ingredients. I'm going to put a cup of cranberries in. It is Thanksgiving. Cranberries are appropriate. And just to make sure it's really moist, a cup of good chicken stock. And the sausage. Perfect. Spicy, sweet. Just dump it right in. Does that look delicious? Big spoon. Just toss it all together. And when this cooks in the oven, it's going to be just moist and delicious and crunchy. Top's going to be nice and crusty. Put it in a pan. Yikes. Whoever said I was a neat cook. Okay, into the fridge, and this is going to be so delicious tomorrow when I bake it in the oven.
Today, we are making my grandmother's Southern stuffing, or dressing, whatever you want to call it. It's made with turkey gizzards, sausage, and not to mention it's made from homemade cornbread. It is next level good. Now, before we begin, preheat your oven to 350 degrees. For the cornbread, you want to spray an 8x8 casserole dish with non-stick cooking spray. And for the dressing, spray a 9x13 casserole dish with non-stick cooking spray. And melt 3 sticks of unsalted butter. We're gonna make my cornbread recipe first. If you'd like, you can make this a day before. Either way, this cornbread is gonna be good to go. Let's get cooking. We're gonna mix our dry ingredients first. 2 cups of yellow cornmeal into a bowl, a large bowl. 2 cups of all-purpose flour. 1 teaspoon of kosher salt. 1 teaspoon of baking soda. Give it a mix. Set your dry ingredients to the side. In another bowl, add your wet ingredients. 2 cups of full-fat buttermilk. 3 eggs. Now add 3 sticks of your unsalted butter that's cooled down. You want to make sure that it's not hot. If you add hot melted butter to this bowl, it will curdle. Whisk. And you're whisking just to combine. Okay, that looks combined. Now add your wet to your dry. Using your whisk, whisk to combine. And the thing about cornbread, you want to make sure you do not overmix. If it's a little lumpy, that's okay. Just mix until you see no more streaks of flour and cornmeal. Good. Take your 8x8 casserole dish, pour your wet ingredients into the dish. How simple is that? 1, 2, 3. This is going to be a popular class, I'll tell you that. Every holiday I get the same question. How do you make Southern stuffing? Okay, put that to the side, smooth it out. Let's head over to the oven. Let's bake this at 350 for 40 minutes. Hit pause and come back when it's finished. It's been 40 minutes. Let's grab our cornbread out of the oven. Smells buttery and it looks incredible. Ooh, look at that. All right, let's let our cornbread rest. Increase your oven temp to 375. Now we're gonna get our veggies and meat prepped. Get 1 small onion. Just chop it, rough chop, because we're gonna put this in a food processor, so you don't need to chop it finely. 2 stalks of celery. 1 green bell pepper. Making sure you don't get any of the seeds. We just want the skin or flesh. Okay. Let's take our veggies and put it in the food processor. And we're gonna also put 1 cup of our turkey gizzards in the processor with the vegetables. You can find turkey gizzards in the supermarket. It's normally in the area where like your smoked meats are. If you can't find it like individually wrapped, you can also find it in the cavity of a turkey. Turn it on. All right, you want to cut it off when your vegetables and meat are minced. Remove your blade and head over to your stove. Let's get our skillet hot. Add some oil to your pan, just enough to coat the bottom of it. I'm using olive oil, but you can also use any type of neutral oil like canola or vegetable. Swirl it around, make sure it's covering the entire bottom of your skillet. Just let it get hot. Now add your vegetables and gizzards to your pan. We have 1 pound of country sausage. Let's add that to our skillet with the gizzards and vegetables. And if at any point you need to add more oil, if you see it starting to stick, you can do that. My grandmother and my mom love gizzards. I remember when I first started making food for Thanksgiving, and all of the contents that would be inside the turkey, I would just, I guess I should just throw this away. And my grandmother, especially my mom, would be like, I know you kidding. Them gizzards and everything inside that, you can use it, you can fry it. You can make it in the morning for breakfast. I just prefer eating gizzards in my stuffing, and that's it. It adds great flavor to stuff like cornbread, stuffing, or even rice, dirty rice. Add some gizzards. And we're cooking this just to brown the meat, and that'll take about 5 to 7 minutes. So it's been about 2 to 3 minutes. It needs some more time to brown. There's a lot of water in the vegetables, so of course that has to release out, evaporate, and then your meat will start to brown. It smells so good in here. I don't know about you, but I just know it's just like the smell of like butter or some type of oil with onions and green bell pepper. Oh my gosh. You know it's the start of something amazing. And at this point, you can hit it with a little bit of salt. That's going to help draw out some of that moisture in your veggies, and it will help brown our meat faster. Almost there. All right, so our meat has browned. Turn off your heat. Come over here and let's melt 2 sticks of unsalted butter. We used 3 sticks of butter in the cornbread, but now we're going to add 2 sticks of unsalted butter, melted butter, to the stuffing or or dressing. What do you call it? My family, we call it cornbread stuffing or stuffing, depending if it's stuffed inside the turkey, or it could be called dressing. Interchangeable. You can't go wrong with extra butter. All right, the butter is melted. Grab your butter and your meat and let's assemble our stuffing. Set these down and grab your cornbread. I'm using my hands to put the cornbread into the bowl. That's the way Grandma does it, but if you don't feel comfortable doing that, you can cut these up into cubes. All right, now let's add our meat and veggie mixture. The butter. Okay. A pinch of Italian seasoning. 2 heavy pinches of garlic powder. And a pinch of cracked black pepper. Now let's add a pinch of salt. All right, let's give it a mix. What I like to do before I add the milk and the stock and the eggs is to taste it to make sure we don't need to add any more spices. That's good. That's good. Now, if you taste it and you think you need to add some more salt, some more garlic powder, some more Italian seasoning, you can do that. Add 2 eggs. Okay. About a cup of milk. Whisk it up. The egg will bind this dressing together, and the milk will help keep it moist. Okay. Pour it into your bowl. Okay. We're going to also add about a half a cup of chicken stock. I just like to eyeball that. Okay. Fold it in. So my grandmother's stuffing is really dense. Once you bake it, you can actually take it out of the oven and cut them up into little squares. So that's how dense this is. So it should look really moist. Last but not least, what I like to do, this is not always what my grandmother does, but this is my little spin on Grandma's recipe. I like to add fresh parsley and sage. My grandmother usually uses dried parsley and sage, but I just like the flavor of fresh herbs. Okay. Drop the parsley in there. And now the sage. All right, give it a mix. Now, grab your mixture and let's pour it into our casserole dish. And just smooth it out. Just smooth it on out, just like that. Let's pop it in the oven. We're gonna bake that at 375 for 40 minutes. Hit pause and meet me back here when it's done. It's been 40 minutes. Let's take our dressing out of the oven. Look at that. All right. Grab a knife. Now, you can let this cool, but I can't wait. I can't wait. I'm just gonna cut myself a little piece out of here. Grab a spat to get it out. And see how I told you it was gonna be kind of dense? Yep, that's it. My grandma says, that's them right there. Let's give it a taste. Now, I'm Southern, and this is a Southern Thanksgiving recipe class. I'm gonna use some little hot sauce on mine. Yes. Let's give it a taste. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. That's grandma's stuffing, dressing, whatever you want to call it. It's herby, it's buttery, it is super flavorful. Thanks for cooking along with me. I hope you had fun because I had a blast with you.